Hello, everybody. This is Sree from BizBuzz. What matters the most in your business? Sponsored by My Work Belt. My Work Belt is a business management software, particularly catering to service-based small businesses. Check it out on myworkbelt.com. And today we have a guest, Craig Andrews. Craig is a principal ally at alliesforme.com, and they are helping high trust, high ticket items to be propagated into the market. If you are one of those who have high trust, high ticket item, check them out. Principalalliesforme.com. Craig, how are you doing today?
Sree, I'm doing wonderfully. Sorry we didn't get a chance to talk last week. I was on vacation, but it's good to be back and good
Excellent.
to be chatting.
Glad to see you. Glad to see you back. And I always enjoy our conversations. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you today is ICP. Now, those who are new to the business, you may not be aware what is ICP. Stands for Ideal Customer Profile, right? So, Craig, give us the basics of ICP.
So ICP, it's it's basically when you can call somebody out and say, "This is exactly who I serve," and you can communicate it to others.
Hmm.
So when I meet with a lot of people during the week to find out who their ideal clients are, who their ideal referral partners are, and the question I ask is, please tell me who your ideal client is. So if I saw them on the street,
Hmm.
if I met them on the street, I would know that I'd met them and I could send them your way.
That is interesting, right? You should be able to identify like that.
Here's the problem. What if you came back and you said, Craig, my ICP is all men?
Hmm.
And so I'm like, well, that's like half the people I'm going to meet.
Right?
And I would say that that's too broad.
That is too
I
broad.
would I would say that that's too broad, but so many people do that.
Mm.
And I have regular calls and they're like, "Oh, we really serve anybody." And and I'm speaking from my own sins here. I've tried that myself. It doesn't work.
Mm.
It doesn't work. And part of the reason is it doesn't work. You have to think about it from a perspective of referrals.
Yeah.
You also have to think about it as a perspective of your ideal client, knowing that you've called them out from the crowd.
Right, right.
And people just don't have the imaginations that you hope they do where they can connect the dots. And so, the more specific you can be, the better. So I have a buddy who is a business coach. He helps businesses solve scaling problems.
Hmm. Yeah.
And he could say, well, I serve any business that has a scaling problem. Well, you have a
Correct.
few problems. You have a few problems with that. You're like, well, how do I know? I mean, I'm not going to go up and talk to everybody, and every
And ask
business
them,
is,
hey, do you have any scaling problem?
yeah. So he narrowed it down a little bit closer, and this is from the angle of referrals.
Yeah.
He said, I serve any business that has a leadership team on their website.
Hmm. That's narrowed down.
That's narrowed down. It's probably not narrowed enough. And I've
Correct.
talked to him about that.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I don't want to go any more narrow.
Mm.
But as soon as you hear that, you're like, okay, when you're talking to somebody and you say, so if somebody was talking to me and they'd think, well, is Craig a good introduction for this fellow? They go to
Right.
my website. There's no leadership team on my website.
That is correct.
Oh, okay. Well, Craig's not a good match.
Yes.
Okay. So one of the changes I made earlier this year, I was meeting with a marketing buddy of mine, and I told my marketing buddy, I said, Eric, I'm doing things I'd never let clients get away with.
Hmm.
One of those is I'm saying I serve, all this big group of people.
Right.
And we chatted for a while. He asked me a lot of questions, and I narrowed it down to we serve wealth managers that have four or more advisors in the firm.
Now, let me stop you right there. So, in that ICP, what are the different sections you're talking?
Okay, so wealth managers, we immediately know that we're talking about people in the financial industry.
That is one element of ICP.
I also eliminated the vast majority of them. There's four or more advisors in the firm. And
That
so, and I think we've talked about people, and
yes,
you've said, Craig, I know three or four guys, but they're solo. They just work by themselves.
correct.
And I've said that's not my client.
Right,
And so that gives something that for you, referring somebody, you can very quickly say, oh, well, they're just a lone gun. That's not a good introduction for Craig.
correct.
But you know to be looking out for wealth managers. Now, the next thing is when your message to them, and one of the examples I give, now in the United States, Sree is not a very common name.
Hmm.
Um,
Correct.
Craig is,
Yes,
right?
Craig is.
And so I was in South Carolina last week and in a town that I rarely go to. But if I was walking downtown Greenville and somebody shouted out, Craig, I would immediately stop and I would look to see who's calling my name.
Yes, because that's rarely ever called in that area.
Yes. Well, when you have your ICP dialed in, you have the same effect. So for me, when I start talking to my ICP, and I put this on my website, I say, we solve organic growth problems.
Right.
Now, one of my buddies says, well, that means SEO. They're going to think you do SEO. I said, nope, because the people, the people that are at the level that are running a firm with four or more advisors, when they hear organic growth, it has a very specific meaning to them, and it's nothing about SEO.
That's correct.
The loan advisor,
Yes,
they may think that's something about SEO,
correct.
but that's the language because that's the thing that they're being held accountable to. That's the thing that, as a matter of fact, that Schwab survey talks about it. So all of a sudden, I'm calling out their name and I'm speaking their language. I'm using terms that have meaning only to them.
So this ICP is actually making the business to really pin down to exactly the audience who they are,
Yes,
right? And when they do that, the advantage here I see is that they can call them out, and naturally that ICP is going to turn around. Hey, who is calling me? Right
yes,
now, not only that. So now, when you pin down the ICP, you narrow down the ICP. Now you have a specific language that you are using to draw the attention of this ICP,
yes,
right? So there are many benefits that I can see when you define an ICP as narrow as you can.
yes.
However, the challenge here is that a lot of businesses, they are afraid of losing out on the rest of the market.
Yes. And I get that. And something I still haven't unpacked since my move is I have a chart that has 188 cognitive biases. These 188 cognitive biases drive the way that we act and make decisions.
Correct.
And one of the biggest forces that drives our behaviors, we're more motivated to minimize loss than we are to maximize gain.
Uh-huh.
And saying, hey, I'm not going to speak to these other people in the market, that feels like loss.
Yes, that feels like loss.
And so if you're feeling that, you're not bad, you're normal.
You're
You're
normal.
acting
Yes.
exactly, your brain is acting in a healthy way,
Uh-huh.
but it's not the way that's going to grow your business.
Right. That's the part you hit the nail on the coffin right away. So what we are trying to convey here is be courageous to narrow down your ICP as much as you can,
Yes.
and then don't worry about losing out on the rest.
And let me give an example before we wrap. Back to financial advisors. This was a loan financial advisor.
Right.
in a town, I think I've shared this with you. It's Vacaville, California. It's a town that almost nobody knows
Hmm.
where it is. Nobody's
Right.
heard of it. It's just a little bedroom community between Sacramento and San Francisco. And there was a financial advisor there that said, I'm going to speak to a very, very narrow audience. And
Correct.
he drew a 20-mile radius around Vacaville,
Hmm.
some town most people have never heard of. And he said, my ideal client is a single, divorced, Christian female nurse in her 50s.
That is so narrowed down. Oh my
Very
goodness.
narrowed down. You know what happened as soon as he got that specific? The next year he did 1.2 million in revenue.
Oh my goodness. So in stuff, in a way, I can see that. So your energy in stuff having it spread all across, you laser focus that energy and penetrate it into that market.
Right. And if you're a single divorced Christian female nurse in your 50s and you see his messaging, it's like the person in Greenville that shouted, Craig. They're like, he's talking to me.
Correct.
I'm going to pay attention because he's talking to me.
So that's the way we should perceive the ideal customer profile. So when everybody is talking about ICP, right? Now,
Yeah.
a lot of people know what is ICP, but nobody know, many people that I come across, they don't know why am I defining the ICP when I can serve to anybody come across,
Yeah.
right?
It's, and they're just being trapped in a loss minimizing mentality. That's going to, it's, you're not broken, you're normal, but it's going
Yes.
to hurt your business.
Great. That's great. Thank you very much for sharing that clarity on what is an ICP and why we should be as specific as possible in defining the ICP. And those
Yes.
who are listening today, I hope you have taken this concept and apply it in your organization for a better growth and laser focused growth. And if you have not subscribed already, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to get the notification and share these concepts with your fellow small business owners. All we are all in it together, and we can collectively grow our small business community and be a striving and thriving community. Great. Thank you very much for joining us. And until next time, see you then.
All right. See you then.